Hello everyone and welcome back to another Star Wars figure review. Today we're going to take a look at some more Black Series 6-inch figures, this time around from Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and in today's review we're going to take a look at the very cool Sergeant Jyn Erso in her Jedha outfit. This particular figure is absolutely awesome. I absolutely love the way that Hasbro have handled this one. Detail, sculpt, likeness, all that sort of stuff is absolutely spot on with this figure. I can't wait to share it with you in more detail later on in the video. Before we get onto this one, however, let's take a look at the packaging that this figure comes in. Once again, we do have the standard Black Series design for this packaging. Nothing too special or Rogue One specific going on with this one. You've just got the Black Series logo at the top, the insert there where the figure would be displayed, and some very cool artwork of the character down in the bottom corner. On the back of the box, you do have a description of the character, some artwork once again, and of course the number in the series. So that is the packaging for Jyn Erso. Now let's take a look at the figure itself. First and foremost, this is a far better figure to the 3 3/4 inch counterpart that I've given you a look at in a previous review. For me personally, that figure was very plain, very boring, didn't bring a whole lot to the table. Whereas with this one, it's much better, and I've got to admit, the addition of articulation with this figure really works wonders. You know, it brings to life an awesome character, and it just, you know, opens up the window for some really cool poses. I really like this figure, and again, a massive thumbs up goes out to Hasbro for their execution of this one. In terms of articulation, we'll run through that first, as there's a lot to cover. We have a ball joint and a hinge at the neck. However, the headscarf that's in place obviously restricts some of that movement, but once that's removed, you get a much better appreciation of the posability. So I'll give you a look at that in just a bit. We also have hinges at the shoulders and hinges at the elbows, hinges at the wrist as well, a ball joint at the upper torso, ball hinges at the hips, swivels at the thighs, hinges at the knees, and hinges and a pivot at the ankle. Now, one thing I have noticed is that the hinge in the knees is very, very thin, and I have heard reports of some people breaking their figures because of these really thin joints, so do be careful with that. Try not to apply too much force when changing the pose of this figure, as you may snap those joints, but that's just something to be aware of. I personally haven't noticed a major issue with mine. I can get this one in some decent poses. Again, it's just something to be aware of if you're a little bit heavy-handed. As you can see, in terms of accessories, she comes with a blaster pistol, which has some really nice paint applications, and that can be stored inside a holster that is attached to the belt. One of the things I really like about this one is that the holster is a separately sculpted piece, and by no means is it moulded or attached to the leg. It's just separately sculpted, slid onto the leg, and that works wonders in my opinion. There is also a strap which can be unplugged like so, and that allows you to place the blaster pistol inside the holster like so, which is very cool. You've got some great sculpted detail on the outfit, as you can see, some really nice pouches, appendages, some accessories in the pockets there. Really, really nice sculpted detail on the outfit. You've got this really nice fake leather look to the trousers. Some great detail on the boots as well. And again, some really nice detail around the head. Now, the headscarf itself can be removed. It's a little bit tougher to do than with the 3 3/4 inch version. You know, you've really got to sort of fiddle with it and slide it over the nose and get it off, but eventually it can be removed. And the head sculpt underneath, I think, is awesome. I've been lucky enough to pick up one where the paint applications are nice and crisp. I have heard some people complain about this figure, saying that it looks a little bit too Disney, where the paint applications and the facial features are a little bit too soft. Maybe the eyes are a little bit too big. But for me personally, it looks fantastic. I'm a really, really big fan of the head sculpt. You can definitely see that the 3 3/4 inch version of Jyn is obviously a downscaled version of this figure, but obviously the 6-inch one just trumps it. You've got a lot more room for detail with these 6-inch figures, and that's definitely been achieved with this figure. Got some great padded texture there on the waistcoat. And all in all, this is just a standout figure. This one was of course revealed at Star Wars Celebration Europe back in July, and was then made available in exclusive packaging at San Diego Comic Con. And this is of course the basic release, and I do believe that she'll see a repack in a 3-pack with Cassian Andor and a Death Trooper Specialist, which is a set I'd really like to get my hands on, although I am sceptical about picking up a second Jyn Erso. But we'll see how that goes. For now though, this figure is more than acceptable. Really happy to see this one added to the Rogue One line and added to the collection. And as always, if you want to purchase this figure for yourself, be sure to hit the link in the video description, which will take you to staractionfigures.co.uk. So that's going to do it for Jyn Erso in her Jedha outfit from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, part of the 6-inch Black Series range. And I'll be back to give you a look at more figures from this line very soon. So until then, as always, thank you for watching, keep collecting, and may the Force be with you.